Let's catch you up on all the latest Spurs news and notes.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, this is Chris Sabat, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs, right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Hope everybody's having a great work week, and we'll get you through it right to the weekend. Hey, what are we talking about today? Well, it's kind of a news desk episode. We're going to catch you up on the latest Spurs news. A Spur is up for an NBA award. Find out what that could or that and who it could be. Also, Lonnie Walker. Did the Spurs drop the ball with him, or did he drop the ball with the Spurs? And a company sold its stake in ownership of the San Antonio Spurs. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts, and on YouTube and on the Ken's 5 Plus app, and now streaming on Sirius XM Radio. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Who's helping me today? He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League, back for another round here at Locked On Spurs. By the way, I heard a rumor that the reason why Bigfoot is so elusive because he's afraid of you. Is that true?
I will neither deny nor confirm that, but I have talked to the elusive Bigfoot, and he said he's just going to kind of be in hiding till I am no longer here on this earth. So just take that for what it's worth.
You must have given him a beatdown. My goodness, he's just scared of you.
Yeah, I tend to do that to a lot of, he must have heard what happened when I was swimming, in Loch Ness and that whole debacle. So I strike fear in them.
You took out Loch Ness too?
Didn't take out the Loch Ness. I just put the fear of Campos into Loch Ness.
I see. That's probably why UFOs and aliens get the hell out of the camera range and photographs and everything, because they're like, oh, that's Rudy. We got to go. Get out of here. He's
we don't
coming.
see very many in San Antonio.
All right. All kidding aside, again, he is with Sweep the League. Follow him on Twitter at Sweep the League. So, Rudy, what we're going to do today, we're going to have some fun here. Just kind of have a news desk as if you're watching TV news and you catch up on the latest Spurs news and notes. So let's go and dive into this. And I guess the bigger, news bite to start off the show is that error mark, that concession giant that's everywhere and you cannot miss them in the AT&T Center. They sold off another piece of their ownership stake in the San Antonio Spurs for $100 million. Okay, nothing much to do there. That's just business, Rudy. Business being business, probably saving costs, whatnot. But the big thing is that the buyer is undisclosed. It's anonymous. We don't know who it is. Much to do about nothing, Rudy? Or is this something Spurs fans should be worried about?
Personally, I think it's just much to do about nothing. It's nothing to really be worried about. Like you mentioned, Airmark probably, hey, let's not be real. A lot of businesses tend to sell off, stake that they have because maybe they are in some financial distress, something they need, to get out of. And it happens every day in business world, shares get sold, stuff like that. So I think it's something that Spurs fans shouldn't really be worried about. You got to also, too, remember in the business world, there's times people just don't want, anything disclosed. They want to keep it behind closed doors, and that's part of the life. So nothing to really worry about. The tech giants in Austin that have actually bought stake into the Spurs, they've come out and said that. But again, it's just, I think, something where Spurs fans are looking at like, oh, God, here goes the team's going to Austin, or the team's going here because of this. Has nothing to do with that. It's just another normal day in the business world.
Yeah, I think Spurs fans are just nervous that if it does come out who the mystery buyer is that it could be another Austin-based company or person. We've seen a lot of that happening with the Spurs. There's been a spike in companies out of Austin. There's Airbnb. That company, the owner bought a piece of the Spurs. There's the big one, Michael Dell. He bought a piece of the Spurs. 6th Street Holdings. Yes, 6th Street, Austin 6th Street. That company bought a piece of the Spurs. Rudy, let me ask you something. If it does come out that it's another Austin-based person or company, would Rudy Campos now be worried or no?
No, 100% not at all. I think, with the Spurs doing a lot of developing here in San Antonio, new facility going up, I think they're just here to stay. There's nothing wrong with investors. I mean, you look at other teams, a lot of other teams, their investors are not just local investors. I mean, they're all over the world in some cases. So it's something that I think, being that the Spurs are the biggest team in San Antonio, the only professional, like true professional team we have in San Antonio
Mhm.
at a major league level, I think it draws concern because if the Spurs ever did leave, that would put a massive, damper on the San Antonio economy. But I get the concerns, but again, it's nothing really to be worried about. You see investors all the time come in and come out from organizations. So, no, I'm not 100% worried at all. I have no, if it's an Austin based company or an Austin based person, so be it. I mean, Austin is 30 minutes away.
Mhm.
I would expect investors from there, especially big tech investors, to invest in teams like the Spurs or anything for that matter.
And not to mention, too, the Spurs just had their first ever regular season games in Austin last season. They're going to want
Hmm.
that influx of money. For me, I think I would be a little bit more red flaggy. Like, what's going on here? But I wouldn't jump the fence and say, okay, it's relocation time. Spurs are leaving Austin. I think I'll get
Yeah.
like that when the current lease at the AT&T Center expires or close to expiring, and the whole "we
Yes.
need a new arena" chants start happening. If that starts going on, yeah, then I think and you've seen more Austin companies or outsiders come in, then I think Spurs fans and myself, maybe even you, Rudy, will get a little bit nervous. Hey, we're not done catching you up with the latest Spurs news and notes. When we get back, we're going to shift gears, talk about Lonnie Walker. Yeah, the former Spur had a great quarter for the Lakers in game 4 against the Warriors in their playoff series. Did the Spurs drop the ball with him, or did he drop the ball with the Spurs? Right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. I want to talk to you about eBay Motors. Look, for a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is the perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to just fit right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage, look for the green check to know if the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop eBay Motors. With over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Autobots, roll out!
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos of Sweet the League, the Lonely Man to strike fear in the Loch Ness Monster, and Bigfoot. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at Sweet the League. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every day. You guys are the everydayers. Stay tuned for tomorrow's show. Should be a good one. Rudy, why do you gotta treat mythical creatures like that? That's so mean of you.
I tend not to be a bully, Jeff, but against mythical creatures, I find it fun. I really do find it fun. I mean, if you remember, I'm the guy that struck fear in the Skeletor's eyes and
That's right.
Thanos' eyes. So
That's
I mean,
right. That's
I've
right.
got a thing for putting the fear, like I said, of Campos into certain people.
Well, thank you for that, Rudy. I guess you're protecting us from monsters, so kudos on that. Hey, Rudy, I want to talk to you about Lonnie Walker. Spurs fans and the rest of the NBA world are just a buzz about what he did in Game 4 versus the Warriors with the Lakers. It was just one quarter where he had a game, but kind of a debate that's been sparking among Spurs fans, even with mutual friend we have, Michael Jimenez of San Antonio Sports Star, is the question of, did the Spurs fail Lonnie, or did Lonnie just not live up to expectations in San Antonio? Where do you stand on that?
The stance I have on that is I think it was just time to move on. I mean, you
Hmm.
had a new core coming in with the draft when Sohan, Blake Wesley, Malachi Branham were coming in. You're trying to spread minutes out. You trying to get Devin more minutes. You're trying to get Keldon more minutes. You're trying to just build a foundation. And I
Hmm.
think it was just time to move on from Lonnie. And it was actually mutual. I feel the Spurs felt that way. Lonnie felt that way. Time
Mhm.
for a change of scenery, and that was where I stand on the Lonnie Walker and the Spurs thing. I mean, we saw movement, Derek White being gone, DeJounte
Mhm.
Murray being gone. So that kind of regimen for the Spurs, which Lonnie was involved in, is kind of just okay. Let's start a whole new thing. Not only that, payday comes up, man. He's coming up for a payday. Do you really want to extend him? Do you really want to pay him that much more money, where you're going to be tying up some of the money that you worked so hard to free up to get big time free agents, or to make a big time trade to get an all star caliber type player? So I think it was a mutual thing, and really, let's not just overreact to one game. But I'm gonna let you get into a little bit that there, Jeff.
Yeah, I spoke about this with Jimenez on his show, Jimenez and Spence, and he's all for the most part, and Spurs failed Lonnie. I mean, that's where he's standing. I think it
Mhm.
was just bad timing, I guess, in his NBA career, because he got injured early in his rookie
Mhm.
season, or rookie or sophomore season. It was early. Then there was you know, Popovich and, his liking to play veterans ahead of him. There was Marco Bellinelli, Bryn Forbes. How many times did we hear that? Why are they playing Bryn Forbes when Lonnie's on the bench?
Yeah.
Uh, and then there was the emergence of DeJounte Murray. And then there was just going through the Spurs grind, that gauntlet of earning minutes with Popovich. So, and then there's a little bit of him too, because of all the Spurs ever, he's been a Locked On Spurs the most. And remember one episode we talked about it, and or it was an article, it was an interview. I know I spoke to Lonnie, let's put it that way. And I asked him, so what's up with that? And he's been open about it. He said sometimes it's just between his ears that that
Mhm.
he just couldn't get the confidence going, the mentality right. And he openly admits it too early in his NBA career. So I think it was a little bit of both. And again, that's just not me trying to straddle the fence here. I really believe that's what it was.
Mhm.
And then the direction the Spurs were going, to complete rebuild. I mean, wasn't just Lonnie, it was DeJounte and Derek and
Yeah.
Bryn and Jakob and Richardson and selling the farm and Thad Young and Eubanks. Everybody was getting shipped out. So again, I don't think it was any knock on him. And I dare you, Rudy, and y'all, everybody listening in right now, look at his final game logs as a Spur. Lonnie was already bucking the trend of being inconsistent. He was
Mhm.
putting together 8, 10 games in a row of double figure scoring, high career highs, 30 points in games, filling in for DeMar DeRozan. There's another thing too. DeMar DeRozan was ahead of him in the lineup.
Exactly.
So his trend was always trending upwards. Points, assists, blocks, minutes. He was trending the right way, and he just needed confidence. So I think it's a little bit of column A and a column B. What do you think?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying. It's kind of a mutual thing. They both, felt like Lonnie probably felt it was time for a change of scenery. Spurs probably thought, okay, we're getting rid of, like we said, the old regimen. We're going to start fresh. We're going to do this rebuild
Mhm.
this way. We're going to rebuild around, guys like Devin and Keldon, and those are going to be our vets, and so forth. So I mean, he was in a wrong place at the wrong time. Like you said, a lot of people ahead of him, a lot of people getting more minutes. And let's not, lie. Lonnie had some good games with the Spurs. I mean, there was I think a Golden State game or a Houston game that he was playing against.
Mhm.
Kind of like his coming out party. But stat wise, I mean, again, it's just one game with the Lakers. He had good, but if you look
Right.
at his season stats,
Yeah.
it's the exact same. I mean, I dare anybody look at the stats between the Spurs, his first time,
Mhm.
and the Lakers. They are identical. They are
Mhm.
identical. I mean, 11.7 points per game for the Lakers, 12.1, 11.2 for the Spurs in 2 seasons. I mean, you're not saying, well, Lonnie's way better in LA or the Spurs gave up on him way too fast. Not necessarily. He's the same type of
Mhm.
player he was in San Antonio that he is in LA. So it's just kind of a mutual thing that they both decided to part with, and for me, I just learned to live with it. I mean, it's a business. The players
Mhm.
are going to move on all the time.
Yeah, and you look at the Spurs roster rise, it wasn't like they were going to take a massive hit with him leaving. There was
Mhm.
Vassell, there was Keldon. Now there's Sohan. I mean, imagine that logjam at that position right now if he stayed on. My goodness. Yeah,
Richardson. I mean, you got a
Richardson,
bunch of
thank you.
other
Yeah.
guys too.
And also too, I don't think there was any bad blood lost between him and the city, because even as a Laker,
No.
he still is helping out San Antonio with Thanksgiving drives and free haircuts, at Fantastic Sam's in San Antonio. So yeah, it's just interesting, and yeah, I think you did it. You hit it right on the nail too, Rudy, when you said it was just one quarter. And mind
Hmm.
you, heading into that quarter, he wasn't playing great. He just exploded in the fourth quarter. Now, the previous game with the Lakers, he did score double figures, I believe about 12 points. So again,
Hmm.
there was already something there. But there's a part of me, Rudy, that wants to say pump the brakes a little bit, Spurs fans, but at the same time, you want to hope that it launches him moving forward. So yeah, I just think it was a little bit of mix, just bad timing. He was just a teenager too. He was 19 years
Hmm.
old,
19.
and the Spurs were not in rebuild mode at that time. They were getting close to it. They weren't hitting the reset button as we saw in recent years. And yeah, and also too, it just because remember the Spurs put him and DeJounte and Derek White as the next core moving forward. You build
Hmm.
around those three. So Spurs fans really, took a shine to him and got to get connected to him. But look, it's just good to see the Spurs fans don't have any ill will towards him. You see that with DeJounte, you obviously see that with Kawhi, Steven Jackson, but there's
Yeah.
Lonnie still shining bright in San Antonio. What are your thoughts?
Well, to no fault to Lonnie. I mean, fans have to remember he came in the year after the whole Kawhi debacle. So it was kind of like, here's a small forward who can defend, who can shoot, who's explosive. Hey, this is the next Kawhi, right? This is the guy that's going to take over for Kawhi since we lost him. He's a high draft pick. It's going to be great for the Spurs. Well, yeah, I mean, essentially he was supposed to come in and, not take over for Kawhi, but fill somewhat of that role. But then let's not, forget this. Year after that, you started seeing Keldon come in, same position. Then you
Yeah.
drafted Devin Vassell, same position. That should kind of tell you they're not satisfied with Lonnie at that position if they keep drafting that same position. So, I think, with Lonnie and the Lakers, it's a good fit for him. I mean, he's playing with, arguably the greatest player in the game right now.
Mhm.
And not only that, for the Lakers, it benefits Lonnie Walker. And the reason why you see him coming out these last couple of games and doing good, it's all matchup with the Warriors.
Mhm.
I mean, they need a quick guy to defend, a
Right.
guy like Stafford Clay. And Lonnie is a really good defender. He was a good defender in San Antonio. He's a great defender in LA. But, it's also the team that he's matched with. I mean, we don't have a LeBron James. We don't have an
Yeah.
Anthony Davis here. His game's going to actually, go to another level in some instances or in a quarter because of those types of players. So, you're right on the pump the brake thing. I just pumped the brakes on it. It was a quarter. Players have that all the time. We've seen that tons of time. I mean, Speedy Claxton had great quarters in the finals and
Mhm.
all that stuff. We're not, putting him in the Hall of Fame or anything.
Oh, what a quarter it was. I mean, were you watching his play in that final frame? I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, I did. It was a great quarter. I mean, fantastic quarter. They do not win that game without him having that kind of quarter. So I do agree with LeBron on that. And you're making me love LeBron, Jeff, and that's not always a good thing.
All right. It's okay. You could handle him. I mean, you took out Loch Ness. You're good.
I did. As long as you're not bringing up a certain school on the East Coast, then we're good.
You mean Duke?
Yeah, shouldn't have said
Yeah.
anything. Trying to
You
go through
said it.
another lockdown without that.
You said it. It was too easy for me to pass that up. Yeah. So, but we definitely want to hear what you think. You can let Rudy know on Twitter at Sweep the League and me on YouTube. Go to the YouTube page as Locked On Spurs, and I'd love to hear your comments about Lonnie. Do you think the Spurs failed him, or he failed the Spurs, or a little bit of both? A little just bad timing in his NBA career. Hey, we'll get back. We're going to continue our Spurs news and notes episode right here with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. But I want to talk to you about the best place in San Antonio for coffee. It's called Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. Did you stay up late last night, San Antonio? Do you need a pick-me-up? You got to go to Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. Mudslingers is locally owned and independent coffee shop, and they're proud to make delicious coffee for our San Antonio community. They do it fast and friendly so you get on with your day. Whether you're in the mood for a latte, cold brew, Red Bull infused lightning bolt, they have drinks for every taste. over 300 5-star reviews cannot be wrong. They also have a wide selection of dairy alternatives, low-calorie options, even caffeine-free drinks for when you want to take it easy, including Rudy, their newest creation that I had the honor to name and inspire, the OGOJ. If you missed those Orange Julius days back at Ingram Park Mall, South Park Mall, Windsor Park Mall, sipping on that white cup, going up and down the escalator to Ingram, going to the music store across the hall from Orange Julius, well, they brought it back, Rudy. I know you're going to probably be getting like about a 6-pack of that.
I'm breaking the health kick to get me some OGOJ, yes, from Mudslingers.
Do you remember that drink? That thing was just so good.
That was amazing. That was the only reason why I went to Ingram Park Mall half the time.
I've been testing people about the OGOJ, and for those who were around like us when Orange Julius was at its height, what was the name of the, I guess, like a better word, supersized cup for the OGOJ? Or the Orange Julius, I should say. Do you remember the name of that? This was tough.
Don't remember.
It's all right. Yeah, it's tough. It was called the Route 44.
It was the Route 44?
That was the Route 44, yeah.
Dang.
That was the Route 44, yeah. But if you want to have your nostalgia strings pulled, you want to go to Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee, ask for the OGOJ. It's located at 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive near 21 and 1604. They're open every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok at Mudslinger STX. That's MUDSLINGER STX. Life is too short for bland coffee.
I would have waited an eternity for this. It's over, Prime.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League, the single man in the universe that took down Bigfoot and now has him running scared each and every day. Hey, let's go ahead and wrap up our chat right here on Spurs News and Notes. Hey, Spurs fans, if you want to see another Spur take home an end-of-season NBA award, well, you are in luck. Keita Bates-Diop is a nominee for the NBA 2022-2023 Bob Lanier Community Assist Award. Fans can vote for him right now at communityassist.nba.com. Voting is underway. It ends May 21, and he's being honored for his work in San Antonio with teaching the values and have facilities having heart resuscitation equipment. He did that at our old stomping ground, Central Catholic High School, and he is a nominee. So hopefully another Spur can take home some hardware. Jeremy Sohan named to the All-NBA rookie second team. Hopefully, Bates-Diop can get this one. Rudy, your thoughts?
I think so. I mean, it's not an NBA season without a Spur being involved in the community and getting nominated for an award for it. So I hope he does take it. I mean, when you think San Antonio Spurs, you think community, you think everything they do for the community. Even former Spurs, like we've mentioned, Lonnie Walker, they still continue to help the community. So hoping that he wins, go out there, vote, man, get KBD this award because he truly does deserve it.
In other Spurs news, volunteers from the Spurs are building a new kid-designed playground at the Uvalde Dual Language Academy as part of the Sport for Healing Fund. Also taking part are volunteers from the Dallas Mavericks. So again, Spurs reaching out to the community, helping a town that's still healing from the massacre of the mass shooting a few years, just a while back ago. So good on the Spurs for doing that. And hopefully we'll have coverage of that at kensfi.com/Spurs. In other Spurs related news, Rudy, get your thoughts on this. Projected number 1 pick Victor Wembanyama is going to skip the NBA draft combine. Now, hold on, everybody. Nothing, no shenanigans going on. Basically, his current season with the French team, Metropolitans, it's still going on. So he has to fulfill that commitment first. But in attendance will be Scoot Henderson, Brandon Miller, Amin and Oscar Thompson, Cam Whitmore. With Rumby not going to the combine, who are you going to be looking out for at the combine, Rudy?
Primarily, I'm looking at the Thompson twins. I'm looking at Scoot Henderson. Really, those 3 guys are the ones that I'm going to be looking at when I'm watching the combine. And, you know, when it comes to Wemby not doing the combine, I understand, yeah, it was because of the longer season that he's got with Metropolitan 92. But the other part, too, is I really feel he should be a part of it. Even though I don't put a lot of emphasis in the combine and, you know, team workouts and everything, I really feel he should be a part of it. It's really important to get the right measurement, to get kind of these skills that you want to, you know, see some of these guys have. Plus, they also play competition, like 5-on-5 games.
Mm-hmm.
So it would make for a little bit of a good thing to have him. But again, to not his fault his own. I mean, he's got a longer season. So definitely the Thompson twins and Scoot Henderson are the three guys that I'm probably paying attention to. Again, Taylor Hendricks, one guy I told you about, just keep an eye on him as well if he is at the combine.
Anybody rising up in your draft board? I guess Hendricks, right, is probably the one that you're looking at closely.
Yeah, okay. From UCF. Power forward guy. He's a relentless defender, really good defender, really goes after the ball, offensive end, really good, you know, PNR guy. I think his development would be really, really good under the Spurs system. So kind of projected mid-first round guy. So maybe trading back or something if that's what they decide to do. Possibly the latest goes maybe early second. So we'll see. We'll see where he falls.
Well, there are your Spurs news and notes right here on Locked On Spurs. But we want to hear from you. What do you think about Lonnie Walker? What do you think Aaron Mark selling its share in the Spurs? Well, just in the Spurs. What do you think about KBD? Let us know what you think. Tell us what's going on with Sweep, Rudy.
Yeah, we're just wrapping up our Substack is getting kind of big. SweepTheLeague.substack.com. We're wrapping up our final grades for the NFL draft, and then we also have our NBA prospect list coming up. So be sure to follow all the articles that we're getting out there on our Substack, like I said, SweepTheLeague.substack.com.
I would like to broker a peace deal between you and Bigfoot. Is that possible?
Yeah. Well, whatever you want to decide, we can do. Bigfoot is on speed dial, so I can definitely put us on a three-way conversation.
And to ensure that no shenanigans are there and you two don't fight, Chewbacca is going to be there to referee to make sure that you guys stay under control and separate you two if he has to. Follow Rudy on Twitter at Sweep the League. Thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day, free and available wherever you get podcasts. Don't forget, you everydayers, look out for tomorrow's show. Cannot wait to let you know what that is soon. And subscribe to Locked On Spurs on YouTube, Ken's 5 Plus app, iTunes, Stitcher, the list goes on and on. Sirius XM Radio as well. So for Rudy Campos, I am Jeff Garcia. We're putting a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.